Hello and welcome everyone to another Comic Movie Marks video. Matt here, writing solo for this particular topic. I wanted to talk about the most recent Snyder Cut article published by Fandom Wire by one Andy Signor. Now, anything that's ever happened with this guy personally, I don't really care about. So anybody that wants to put that stuff in the comments, I don't see what the point is. What he did in his personal life and how things went down, that doesn't matter. I'm going to talk about the article and the Snyder Cut. Nothing more, nothing less. Originally, Shane and I were both going to be here, but Shane had an emergency and had to pop out. So I'm writing solo. And there was almost a question whether or not we were even going to talk about this because it was just so ridiculous in some sense. It felt like there was such a lack of actual detail in the story that it didn't seem worth really talking about. There's just so many factors to this that just screamed we had to talk about it in some sense. So we're just going to kind of dive right into this article here, and I'm going to have my various topics here that I'm going to bring up. But Mr. Signor says, after reaching out to their sources, they finally got an answer about the Snyder Cut. According to Fandom Wire's exclusive sources, Warner Brothers and HBO Max will not be releasing Zack Snyder's director's cut of Justice League. We know many fans of Snyder and his Snyder army will not believe us no matter what we type, but the reality is there not only won't be a secret drop of the project on HBO Max, but we've also confirmed the cut is not finished. I didn't need your source to know the cut wasn't finished. Zack Snyder in multiple posts have told us it's not finished.
What the hell was that?
During the director's cut event, he told me it was incomplete, or the VFX. It seems like a lot of what he writes in this article is reactionary responses to people that have about 15 followers and have an account that's about a month old that are constantly popping up into his mentions. This doesn't seem to be directed towards the people that know what's going on. It seems to be directed towards trolls that may have said mean things to him.
Help, police, murder.
As we'll see later on in the article, another thing pops up where it kind of felt like, I don't know where you're getting that idea from, but we'll continue. While we support Snyder getting his original vision out there, the truth is Warner Brothers is currently very unhappy with Zack Snyder. They're even more frustrated by his constant encouragement of fans who keep getting the Snyder Cut trending on Twitter. In fact, each time the film trends, it's actually making the release less and less likely. What an amazing concept. The fact that a movie gets more and more popular, the less likely it's going to be released. That makes great business sense.
Wednesday morning, they're going to rename it Charlie Brothers and not Warner Brothers. Duh. Winning.
The lack of a finished Snyder Cut is an unspoken fact around Hollywood that no one seems to want to go on record about, which actually is very true. It seems like no one wants to give a straight answer from WB. No matter what, it's always been source, as he's using right now, or insider, or WB executive in the case of the Wall Street Journal article. People not willing to put their names to it, but yet they want to distance themselves from it as much as possible. Which it seems like if you want to get rid of something, put your name and company behind it. The article says Warner Brothers is fed up with these antics by Snyder and how he's using his fans to try and bully them into funding and releasing this cut of the film. I always find it funny when adults use the word bully. It seems like a very childish word, a word that you only hear like in elementary school. I always find it really odd when I hear an adult use the word bully. A better terminology would be strong arm. He's trying to strong arm them into releasing his cut that they hired him to do. The fact is, Warner Brothers did take a meeting with Zack Snyder to discuss the project, but Snyder requested $20 million and the permission to reshoot? I don't think anything was going to be a reshoot. I think it was going to be additional, to which Warner said, no way. Talks ended there, and there are no plans to start them again. I don't want too many people to read into this necessarily, but I will just say this. On November 18th, 2019, we were informed, and I will just say that, we were informed that Snyder did have a meeting with WB. I do believe a meeting did happen. I do believe in some sense Signor is getting information from somebody within WB. We were informed on November 18th of 2019 that since WB gives zero fucks, that is why Snyder tried to get released a Snyder Cut trending on November 17th and did the things he did with Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck. The thing is about November 17th was Warner Brothers told Zack to fuck off. So in response, Snyder came back hard.
Oh no.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh yeah!
The article says, in fact, reps inside Warner Brothers are getting angrier and angrier at Zack Snyder for encouraging false stories on movie websites that rally fans to think Snyder's cut of the film is finished. It's not. Again, I don't know where you're getting that from. Everything that Snyder has put out in so many different ways, from screenshots of previs and everything, and most of those he explicitly states that these were not complete yet. So again, it sounds like you're reacting more to those 15 follower, 2-month-old accounts reaction to saying it's done over and over again. I've never seen a legitimate movie site post anything about Snyder's cut of the movie being finished. The closest you've got is Mark Hughes in Forbes saying a nearly finished version of the film exists. He also says Warner Brothers doesn't want to invest any more money into Snyder's vision of the superhero franchise, especially after being bullied online. Again, that word bullied by an adult, by a studio, being bullied by faceless people on the internet. Very interesting times that we live in today. He also says the situation has gotten so salty. One rep we heard from told us that WB will never work with Snyder again. The feeling is likely mutual given Snyder's push out and constant desire to rally his fans to keep fighting the studio for the Snyder Cut. And it's not just him, many actors do as well. Jason Momoa, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Ray Fisher, many people, Jay Oliva, Fabian Wagner, a lot of people that worked on the movie and the actors involved in the movie all kind of want to see this cut. I'd like to see WB's response to all of them on this. That would be quite interesting, especially Ben Affleck, since he just did a press tour for The Way Back. I'm sure he heard a lot from this so-called rep. We heard Warner Brothers is so fed up with Snyder, they are planning to wipe his film's continuity in their upcoming solo Flash movie. I generally hate the constant barrage of release the Snyder Cut, but as annoying as the movement is to them, they merely label it as noise and refuse to give in to the fans' demands merely out of principle.
That don't make no sense.
So kind of a contradicting statement here, really saying that they just look at it as noise, but they seem to be bullied by it as well. Kind of goes on to about Richard Donner taking 26 years. Will we ever see the Snyder Cut? The question for the studio has always been whether or not Zack Snyder's cut of the film will truly please fans beyond the Snyder Army demanding it, and if it's truly worthy another 20+ million investment. They do not believe it is. So the problem with this article and the way Mr. Signor wrote it, and it became more evident later on through his many podcasts and live streams that he was doing when he was confronted with the fact that AT&T would reach out to Snyder, it seemed to be a surprise to him, which I found very odd, because how do you not realize that by now that AT&T is the big papa in charge? If you look at the statistics for November 17th, release the Snyder Cut trended higher than Justice League's main marketing push ever did, could ever come close to. You're telling me that doesn't catch people's eye, especially at AT&T, because guess what? AT&T doesn't care about what some reps at Warner Brothers think. They want money. And HBO Max, according to many articles, is the freight train of Warner Brothers. He doesn't seem to quite understand the fact that Warner Brothers and Warner Max are completely different divisions. There's different executives for Warner Max. In that Hollywood Reporter article, it even states that Warner Max has access to all of Warner Brothers' IP. The question is, would AT&T overstep? They see that WB is a clusterfuck. And if Warner Brothers starts denying Warner Max those IPs because they don't want to work with Snyder anymore, well, AT&T is going to wonder, why are you here then if you don't want to make money? That's what it comes down to. Toby Emmerich will look like an idiot if he sits there and tells people from AT&T and Warner Max that they shouldn't work with Zack Snyder or complete this cut because he bullied them.
Shut up, bitch!
Yeah, that's not very good reasons, and AT&T is going to say fuck off. HBO Max needs to be a success. He had this other arbitrary thing that really no one I saw was arguing, but he really wanted to answer it, that HBO Max was not going to be launching with the Snyder Cut. No shit. This isn't a surprise to anyone. We know it needs post work. He's been working on Army of the Dead. He wants to do additional photography. Nothing is filming right now. You don't need a source for that information. I don't need anybody to tell me that, yeah, it's not coming out on the debut. I don't think it'll be coming out until they get a worldwide access, or they figure out how to distribute it in a worldwide manner, because you're not going to release a film like this with this much hype when your streaming service is only available in the United States. I saw in his discussion with John Aaron Garza that he was kind of surprised by the idea that AT&T would step over, that Warner Max would do something like this. Well, it seems pretty obvious. They're trying to make HBO Max a success. The demeanor he has in this, that he doesn't feel like the movie is successful because it won't reach outside the Snyder Army. It almost trended up to 1 million tweets on November 17th. It's become a pop culture phenomenon. At this point, a lot of people, even the people that hate it or hate Snyder or hate his fans, are going to watch it. Now, depending on how they distribute it, either as an episodic type thing to drag out those subscriptions where it's $14.99, if you can get people on for 2-3 months, depending on how it goes, people just paid almost $45 to watch the Snyder Cut.
Jordan fades back, swoosh, and that's the game!
Mr. Signor and others that he dealt with seem to be unhappy with the Snyder fans because they may have said some mean things to them on the internet, but that doesn't discount the fact that the Snyder Cut should not be released because you might have run into some assholes on the internet.
That would be a hell of a thing to put out there for fans and to try to, for the incoming leadership and for AT&T to try to kind of mend that fence and at least as a gesture to say to Snyder, look, you know, we know that what happened previously was not how things should have gone down, and you had an artistic vision and it deserves to see the light of day, and there's a lot of fans who want to see it. And to me, I know there's a lot of people out there who'll say, no, the fans too many of those fans act bad or act this way or that way. But, you know, my opinion about what needs to happen with a movie like this transcends whether or not people have shitty Twitter fights about this stuff. And the truth is, it's a business decision. And as a business decision, it makes sense to release it. It makes sense to put that on HBO Max to help, you know, attract additional attention. It's got monetary potential. You would sell the hell out of that Blu-ray.
The reason why you don't see a lot of people coming out with this information, because if he really thinks he has an exclusive that other people haven't talked to reps and others about this stuff, he's got to be completely delusional. There's no way he got that dig, that scoop on this over everyone else. The thing is it's been proven now over the past 2+ years that reporting on this has been all over the place. WB is consistently trying to sway the opinion. They are pumping out misinformation a lot of the time about the cut. Before, it never existed, and that was the go-to. It was an assembly cut. And now you have people telling you, yes, there is a Snyder Cut, but now it's a work print. So this narrative keeps shifting. Traditional journalism doesn't work on this story. You can't just go talk to 1 or 2 reps and get some corroborating information. You need to look at all aspects. You needed to get someone from Snyder's camp. You don't even have on here that you try to even reach out to Snyder or anybody in his camp, or anything like that, a representative or anything like that, to try to confirm some of this. I don't see anything in there. Usually you always see that we reached out to Snyder's representative, they said nothing or no comment. You don't even have that. You didn't even try to get that other side of the story, because right now the information is all over the place. Snyder's camp saying one story, WB is another, AT&T's in the middle. What is AT&T and Warner Max doing? That's what you gotta ask.
And the truth shall set you free!
All right, guys, that'll end this episode. I just want to talk about this article real fast. Mr. Signor, hopefully you don't go sour on this. I think it's good to have people talking about it, but you need to realize that traditional journalism doesn't work on this because people are constantly trying to mislead journalists, bloggers, others like yourself in WB. They don't want the actual information to come out because at the end of the day, it makes them look really bad. Because if Snyder was removed from Justice League and his daughter's death used as a prop to cover up what they did, they look like assholes. And they're gonna say and do whatever they can to prevent this thing from coming out. Now, the problem is it's been taken out of their hands. If you guys like what I said, make sure you check out our Patreon. It's down in the description. Check us out on all social media. It's mainly active on Twitter for the most part. Help us, our little channel. In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.